This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face. You with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game. Talk trash all you want. To me, it's all the same. You won't leave with much when you come in second place. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gonna cry to your mama, cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello, friends, and welcome again to the HPT. This week, we're coming to you from one of our longest-running tour stops at the Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room here in Daytona Beach, Florida. I'm Fred Bevel. This lovely lady is poker professional Maria Ho. And Maria, you know this event very, very well. We've been coming here so long, we call the people family here. And Papa Bear Dom Nero has once again delivered a great tournament experience for our players.
You know, Dom and his team here have made this one of my favorite stops, and I think all the players would agree with me. The cash games are juicy, and the tournament fields are full of fun characters and skilled players. Another big payday awaits the final 9 that was able to survive this competitive field, but before they head to the cage and collect their spoils, there's a lot of poker left to be played.
When it's over, one of these players will be able to forever call himself an HPT champion.
Let's go ahead and meet the players at our final table and then get right to the action.
My name is Gianni Demers. I'm from Jackson, New Jersey, and I'm a professional poker player.
My name is Sam Sharifi. I'm from Orlando, Florida, and I'm a managing partner of a staffing and recruiting company.
I am Joe Fraley. I'm a financial advisor in Springfield, Missouri.
I'm Jeremiah Pierce from Florence, South Carolina, originally from High Point, North Carolina. 36 years old, and I play poker for a living.
My name is Wes Holland. I'm from Orlando, Florida, and I'm a pool builder.
My name is Ed Buchanan, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and I'm a distributor rep for a janitorial supply company.
My name's Chris Lind. I'm from Goshen, New York, upstate New York, but I'm living in Vegas now, and I play poker for a living.
My name is Keith Romanovitz. I'm from Salem, Massachusetts, and I'm retired.
And you're back. Talk about your Ali-like return here to a HPT final table.
It was a goal of mine when I came back, but it's tough to come back, you know, to make back-to-backs. There's so many things you got to get through to, you know, and you got to get lucky every once in a while, too.
How are you feeling as you're about to sit down and play for this, what I call life-changing cash? What's going through your mind?
I tell you what, I'm really excited.
It would mean a lot to be an HPT champion just because I've never really won a tournament before.
Kind of surreal. I'm excited. Wish I had a little bit more ammo going into the day, but I'll do the best with what I got.
I guess the biggest thing on my mind right now is I'm the short stack, and I'm pretty limited on the moves I can make right now. So I've got to find a good spot and try to double up and hopefully get some chips to play with.
The other stack sizes, I can apply a lot of pressure to the shorter stacks and, you know, be able to take down pots without any showdown.
I've known Gio for about 5 years, and it'll be nice playing on his left today instead of his right, so we'll see. Put some pressure on him.
With the chip lead, you know, if you asked me the other day, you know, where would you want to be on Monday, this is exactly where I'd want to be.
I'd like to win 80 grand.
We always have a great turnout here at Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room. First place finisher is going to take home almost $81,000. Second place is going to get a nice payday of just under $50,000. And our ninth place finisher is going to get to take home at least $8,700 and change.
Almost $81,000, big money in anyone's book, Maria. Here are the starting chip counts as we begin this final table.
At the top of the leaderboard coming into this final table is Sam Sharifi with almost $2 million in chips. Second behind him is Wes Holland with just over $1.1 million. Keith Romanovitz and Jeremiah Pierce both have under 15 big blinds.
All right, here we go. Blinds at this final table, 9-handed, starting at 10 and 20,000 with a 3,000 chip ante. Chris is going to fold. Over to Joe Fraley now.
He looks down at pocket threes. I think that's definitely a good enough hand given his position to raise here.
He does make it to 40,000. And that's going to get Wes to fold. Now over to Keith. Keith with 4 deuce. Boy, rags on this hand going around the table here. Until we get to the 2 seat of Jeremiah Pierce, he peels back ace jack. And Jeremiah is just going to shove.
Well, with 11 big blinds, that's definitely the right play if Jeremiah decides that that's the hand he wants to go with. And I think given the position from where Joe opened from, that's definitely a good enough hand for Jeremiah to shove in this spot.
Remaining 184.
Well, now the pressure is on Joe Fraley. Does he want to take his pocket threes through a whole board here and hope to double up?
This call would represent half of Joe's stack, so it's not an easy call by any means, but it looks like he is going to put the chips in because he's probably thinking that if he's in a flip, then this might be a good spot to get him to a healthier stack. The flop is Queen 9-3 Rainbow, so that just gives Joe a hammer lock on this hand, flopping a set. Jeremiah is going to need runner, runner, backdoor straight outs. The turn is the 8, which is one of them. He's going to need a 10 and only a 10 on the river. Otherwise, Joe is going to eliminate Jeremiah in 9th place. These all-in hands may start as flops, but they're never easy as the 10 of spades does come on the river. And honestly, this is just the beauty and the pain of No Limit Texas Hold'em.
So brutal. Flops the set, gets rivered by the straight. Ouch! Well, if that's what we're in for tonight, get a seatbelt on that couch. It's going to be a bumpy ride. More poker from Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room when we come back. Welcome back to the HPT from the Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room here in Daytona Beach. We have a fun group of players ready to battle down to a champion. Let's get right to the action.
Sam Sharifi is still the chip leader. Gianni DeMars has half of Sam's stack with 1.1 million. Wes Holland follows very closely behind with just over 1 million. And Keith Romanovitz, who's no stranger to the HPT, and is going to need to get it all in pretty soon.
Blinds continuing at this final table at 10 and 20,000 with a 3,000 chip ante from the Daytona Beach Kennel Club here in Daytona Beach, Florida. Great place to come vacation and play some poker. Gianni has got connecting cards that he does not want to play. Over to Chris Lynn now. And he's going to open the pot to 42,000. Now over to Joe Fraley. He's going to fold. This is Wes Holland. He's got suited connector cards. He says no thank you. Now it's Keith's turn. The rookie hand, King Jack. And he smartly folds that hand. Dalton quickly folds. Now over to Jeremiah. He's going to fold. And here is Sam Sharif. He is going to complete the big blind with King 9. And the flop comes 10, 7, 8 with a couple of hearts. So Chris is connected with top pair, top kicker. Sam has flopped an open-ended straight draw. Sam's going to check over to the pre-flop raiser.
And of course, Chris is going to continuation bet this hand.
Why wouldn't he with top, but Sam with an open-ended straight draw, not going anywhere. Question is he going to raise it here or just flat? He chooses to just flat. Jack of spades falls on the turn. Well, just like that, Sam pulls ahead with the straight.
And I really like that Sam decides to lead into Chris here. I think he probably knows that unless Chris has a big piece of this board, he is probably going to check back the turn once this board gets so coordinated. And Chris does make the call.
Ace of hearts falls on the river. That gives Chris aces up.
And I think that's only slowing Sam down because the flush draw comes in. And it looks like based on Chris's bet size, he now thinks that he's betting for value here with 2 pair. But Sam's not going to fold a straight for 75K.
Yeah, Chris tables his 2 pair, and he sees the bad news from Sam's hand. Sam shows the straight, and he's going to scoop a nice size pot, just over $500,000 going his way. Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room mixes up the chips a little bit. They like to use the European-style plackers for their bigger denoms. A little harder to shuffle them, but the players enjoy them. Moving on to the next hand here. Looks like Keith Romanovitz is going to be under the gun. He pulls back Queen 9 and chooses to muck. Over to Dalton now. More a whole lot of nothing. As players continue to fold around the table. Now it's Ed Buchanan's turn to take a look. He's got ace 7, and that is good enough for Ed. He's going to go all in.
Can I get a count?
So Ed looking down at ace 7 with 10 big blinds in the hijack. Definitely good enough to go all in with here. Let's see if anybody else behind him can find a hand to call him.
Well, Chris Lynn peels back ace 8. If he can make the call here, he'd be crushing in the hand.
Call.
And he is going to make the call. Interesting that he doesn't try to isolate here. So we'll see if anybody else wants to get in the middle of this. Joe says no. Let's see what Wes wants to do.
So it looks like Ed's going to be all in here for his tournament life, but he is dominated by Chris's ace 8, but there's definitely some chop opportunities as well to be had.
Well, Ed sees that he is just crushed right now, hoping for a little bit of love on this board. It comes ace jack 3 with a couple of clubs. Ed is holding a club in his hand. Turn is the 8 of clubs. Well, now we got a sweat, Maria. Chris has turned 2 pair, but Ed has turned a flush draw.
Jack of hearts. No, that would be a chop.
So with a club on the river, Ed would be able to stave off elimination here. But nope, the river is the 9 of hearts. It's not going to do it. And Ed is going to be our 9th place finisher.
Ed, we barely got to know you, my friend, but I hope you had a fun time here with us on the HPT, as he is going to go to the cage to collect almost $9,000 for his efforts this weekend. Not a bad payday for a $1,500 tournament. As Chris stacks up the rest of Ed's chips, we're going to raise it up a little bit. The blinds are now going to be 12 and 24,000 with a 3,000 chip ante. And action in this hand, we'll start with our 1 seat, Dalton Mills. Dalton looks down at pocket 10s. With every elimination at the final table, everybody gets a pay raise. Now everybody guaranteed almost $11,000 as Dalton moves all in. And Maria right next to him, Jeremiah looks down at pocket kings.
Well, Dalton had only 15 big blinds, so nobody could fault him for making that move there. Unfortunately for him, Jeremiah wakes up with a monster right behind him and isolates, moving all in as well.
And as you would expect, when you've got 2 all-ins early on in position, it's going to take a premium hand to make this call. And so far, no one has that, as Keith Romanovitz looks down at 5 deuce. And we are heads up now. Jeremiah crushing Dalton, going into this flop, a 4-1 favorite. Here is the flop. Oh!
Wow, 6-10-6, a boat for Dalton. Just like that, Jeremiah went from way in the lead to way behind. Now it's Jeremiah looking for a miracle king. 1 of 2 outs left in the deck.
The turn is the deuce of diamonds, so only a king will suck out for Jeremiah. The 5 of spades not going to do it. Dalton is going to get a full double up here.
And that costs Jeremiah almost half of his stack, so we can't be happy with that. The remaining few are putting up quite the fight, and I can see that there's going to be a long road to this championship ahead. Come back for more from Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room. So far, this final table has seen a lot of all-ins, but not very many eliminations. We're coming back to 8-handed play right now.
Sam Sharifi not willing to relinquish his top spot. He's been real steady at just over the 2 million mark. Wes Holland and Gianni DeMars both have over 1 million in chips. And now we've got two short stacks with essentially the same stack, Joe Fraley and Keith Romanovitz working with about 8 big blinds.
Blinds remain at 12 and 24,000 with a 3,000 chip ante. As these players take a look at their holdings, Keith Romanovitz continues to be card dead here, not yet played a hand. Whereas Dalton's had a few hands to splash around with. This time he looks down at Ace Jack, and he is going to open the pot to 50,000. Jeremiah is going to fold. Sam chooses not to play 9 Jack. Now over to Gianni. Gianni's got a big one. Pocket Kings. Gianni started this hand with 48 bigs. And he is just going to flat the raise here with Pocket Kings. No 3-bet, Maria?
I think Gianni's just trying to be a little bit deceptive with how strong his hand is. Both him and Dalton are playing fairly deep stacked right now, so I think that can account for why he's slow playing.
Well, this is what slow playing gets you. The flop is Jack, Ace, 8, Rainbow, so Dalton has hit top 2 pair on the flop. And Dalton is going to make the expected continuation bet, makes it 75,000. And now Gianni in a tough spot with Pocket Kings. Always seems like when you're holding Pocket Kings, the board comes ace high.
I have a friend who calls Pocket Kings ace magnets.
Well, Gianni is going to make the call. The other gentleman folded right away after this action. And look at that, Maria. King of clubs on the turn. Gianni has just turned a set.
Wow, and that is a huge turn card, and there's going to be a lot of action now. 2 pair against middle set. These are the hands that TV poker is made of.
Well, let's see if Gianni continues to just smooth call here. If he's going to raise it up, it looks like he is just going to call. The river is the queen. Now that puts a whole lot of options on the board here. Neither player holding the 10, so there's no straight.
This is going to save Dalton a little bit from losing his entire stack. This isn't a great run out here for aces and jacks.
It's not even that great of a run out for a set.
Right.
Well, Gianni looks like he is going to fire here on the river. He's not too afraid of that queen of hearts. 536,000 in the pot now. And it looks like he is going to fire 192,000. Ace Jack, really tough to get away from in this spot, I think. Dalton just can't fold. He is going to make the call. And he is going to see that he did have the lead, but got turned.
And I think maybe Dalton would have been able to fold that river. Honestly, it is hard to imagine what kind of hand Gianni has that has a 10 in it, maybe ace 10. But it's a very tough spot for somebody to be bluffing there. But, you know, either way, it's easier to say from this side of things.
It's always easy to talk about poker when you know what the players are holding in their hands.
Absolutely. My hat's off to everybody who plays a final table. It's very tough. There's a lot of pressure, and you're never going to play every hand perfectly.
Sam is going to open the pot here with Pocket Queens. A lot of big pairs making their appearances at the final table this trip. And the rags get folded around. Let's see what Wes has. He's got Pocket Sevens. Good chance Wes is going to see a flop. And he does make the call. Over to Keith now. Just a whole lot of nothing, Keith. I know what that feels like, buddy. Now back to Dalton. He's got Jack King. Jack King known in the poker world as the rookie hand. You know why, Maria, because it looks pretty, but it's easily dominated.
They should call King Queen the rookie
You
hand.
just get off of King Queen, sister friend. You just leave that alone.
And the flop is ace, king, 9, a couple of clubs. And that flop does not look great to Sam with queens.
Dalton is going to check. Sam is going to make the continuation bet to 90,000, which will get Wes's pocket sevens out of the way. Now we're back to Dalton with 90,000 chip decision. And he does make the call, so this pot getting big fast.
Dalton decides to call here. The turn is the jack of clubs, so although Dalton has improved to kings and jacks, there is a flush possibility on the board. But Dalton decides that, you know what, he can't really lay his hand down, so he might as well put it in before Sam has a chance to put him to the test. And now Sam looks down at his queens, and he's got no club, and he's probably thinking, I'm just going to have to lay this down.
2 overcards to your pair. There's a flush draw out there. There's also a straight draw out there. Sam does want to count. It costs 320,000 of his chips to make this call. If he does make the call, he'd need to find a queen or a 10 on the river.
Wow, that is a really big call from Sam. I'm not really sure why he did make this call. I just don't feel like there's really any hands that Dalton's going all in there with that Sam has beat.
Well, like I said a moment ago, Sam will need a queen for the set or a 10 for the straight. Otherwise, he is going to double Dalton up. Dalton just doubled Jeremiah up. Now he's about to enjoy the same thing from Sam, unless a miracle card comes on the river.
The 3 of spades is not going to do it. It's going to keep Dalton's hand the best hand, and he's going to double up through Sam here.
Little over $1 million in chips going Dalton's way.
Time to step aside for a quick commercial break, but when we come back, more exciting final table action coming to you from the Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room. You're watching the HPT.
Welcome back to the HPT. We are in a juggernaut of action here at the Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room. The short stacks are getting it all in, and they're hitting the miracle cards they need to stay in. We are now only 8-handed as we work down to a champion. Let's get right back to the action.
Sam Sharifi, after doubling up Dalton Mills, is now just hanging on to the chip lead by a thread. It's really like neck and neck between him and Gianni DeMars here with 1.63 million and 1.6 million respectively. And Wes Holland is in the 3rd chip position with just under 1.3 million. And now our short stacks are Jeremiah Pierce and Keith Romanovitz with 13 bigs and 9 big blinds respectively. Blinds are going up to 15,000, 30,000 with a 4K ante.
And Wes, under the gun, is going to look down at King-Queen. Most players would fold that hand, but not Wes. I like it. He's going to raise it up, makes it 60,000. And poor Keith, my goodness. Not only is he short stacked, but he's card dead. Is there anything more frustrating on a final table than being card dead, Maria?
Honestly, there's not much you can do when you have that stack size. You really just need to wake up with a hand, and sometimes the deck just doesn't cooperate.
I used up my one guess on that, too.
All in.
Jeremiah looks down at pocket tens, and he's announced he is all in.
And with 12 big blinds and pocket tens, Jeremiah is doing the right thing here. He does have a little bit of fold equity with his 12 big blinds. It just depends on how bad of a hand Wes was raising with. But as you can see, Wes has a hand that he is probably going to call here with. And Joe looks down at Queen Jack, and I think the reason he's tanking on it is because he does only have 5 big blinds, and he's trying to think about pot odds and, you know, what kind of hands he's up against, and if he has 2 live cards, this might be a good spot to try to triple up. I think there are a lot of factors that Joe's trying to take into consideration here, but I think if I were him with Queen Jack and 5 big blinds, it's very, very, very painful, but I would still probably let it go.
Well, Joe is thinking, why not triple up instead of just double up? He's going to get his hand in the mix there with this kind of traffic. And now it's Wes asking for a count of Jeremiah's stack.
And if Wes can somehow find a fold, though I don't think he can given the price he's given on busting 2 people, but yet And he does, and that's actually really great news for Joe, because if Wes had called, he had Joe dominated, but now he has 2 overs against Jeremiah's 10s.
A little confused why Wes would fold his hand there with only 300,000 more to call and a chance to knock out 2 people, but here we are. The flop is 9-6-4 with a couple of hearts, so right now Jeremiah's 10 still the best.
The turn is the ace of diamonds, so still no help to Joe. And as we had seen, Wes had folded a queen already.
But It's a check on the river that's going to save Joe's tournament life. Maria, we can't eliminate anybody from this final table. The short stacks just keep doubling up.
Well, I'll be at the beach. You let me know when someone gets knocked out.
Get me a Mai Tai. I'm not too far behind you. Ooh, as fun as this final table is to watch, let's take a time out for a history lesson in a poker life featuring the legend himself, Mr. Doyle Brunson. You know, when Doyle started playing in Vegas, it wasn't the Vegas we all know and love. It had a little bit of mafia behind it. You know what I'm saying? Well, one of the biggest crime syndicates in the world was from Chicago, and one of the most notorious members was named Tony Spilatro. Doyle knew him. Doyle had to deal with him. He's going to tell us how Tony Spilatro ended his days.
Tony Spilatro was perhaps the scariest guy that I've ever known. I mean, he'd look at you with his eyes, and it was like looking in the eyes of a rattlesnake. He never blinked, man. But, you know, I was from Texas, and, you know, I told him, you know, we've got raccoons and possums down there, but we don't have any mafia down in Texas. And, you know, we take care of our business and expect people to take care of their own business. And I'm not going to do what you tell me. And, you know, he says, you know, I want you to join my crowd here. And I said, I don't want to do that. I don't need to do that. What I want to try to cheat somebody for when I can beat them, you know, honestly. And, it really infuriated him. But I think I got a measure of respect from him because I did stand up to him like that. And he knew the Binions had my back. He knew Jack and Benny were my closest friends, and he knew if he started any rough stuff, it was going to be a bad thing.
We are so lucky to have Doyle Brunson as a part of our show, and for all the stories that he shared with us, I know he's got plenty more where that came from. Come back for more from Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room right after this.
Welcome back to the HPT. We're at the Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room here in Daytona Beach, Florida. These players are playing for life-changing money and, of course, the coveted HPT championship. Let's get right back to the action.
Sam Sharifi with the chip lead here with 1.6 million. Gianni DeMars follows very closely behind him with 1.5 million. And our short stack here is Jeremiah Pierce with 7 big blinds.
7 big blinds is desperation mode as blinds are continuing at 15 and 30,000 with a 4,000 chip ante. And that is Jeremiah Pierce. He will be under the gun this hand.
Looks like Jeremiah's found a hand to go all in with, and that hand is 10-8 suited. I think that's pretty close there to a shove given his stack size. I think if it was a little more short-handed, that's a definite go.
Action folds all the way around the table. We are now on Keith Romanovitz. He looks down at Queen 10. Keith, also one of the short stacks, he's going to fold. So now we're over to Dalton Mills. He's got a suited ace. That just might be good enough to call off the short stack.
I think with 1 big blind in, plus the dead money in the pot, this is a definite call for Dalton. There's nobody else behind him to act.
Dealer cutting out the chips of Jeremiah, so Dalton knows exactly what he's calling.
If I were Dalton, I probably would have called already. And he does decide to make the call. So now Dalton is ahead. Jeremiah's all in for his tournament life.
Here comes the flop, 6-5-4 rainbow.
That's an excellent flop for Dalton here because Jeremiah's 8 now actually will give Dalton a straight.
The turn is the 5 of clubs. Right now, ace high still ahead, and Dalton also a million outs to improve. Jeremiah hoping for a 10 and only a 10, but it does not come. The king of diamonds falls on the river, and that is going to do it for Jeremiah. He's going to leave us in 8th place and take a check to the bank worth almost $11,000. Congratulations, my friend. We are now 7-handed as blinds are 15 and 30 with a 4,000 chip ante. Action in this hand starts with Chris Lind. He's going to fold. Now over to Joe Fraley. Ace Jack offsuit. Probably going to see him play.
Joe's fairly short stack too. He's only got 10 big blinds. I assume he's just going to move all in here.
And that is exactly what he does. He goes all in. Wes Holland now looks down at garbage. He's going to fold over to Keith Romanovitz.
And I think Keith is always mulling over his decision because he's also short too. And he knows he doesn't have forever to wait for a good hand, but he also wants to make sure that he's getting it in good. 10-7's not going to be it though for him with an all-in in front of him.
Dalton also going to fold over to Sam Sharifi now. And it looks like Sam is going to call the short stack and try to put an elimination on his resume. And why wouldn't he? Pocket queens.
And he just calls instead of ISOs, which I like. There's not many more players left behind him. He maybe wants to try to get some extra action, but he doesn't. And Joe's going to see that he has 3 outs here. He needs an ace in order to pull ahead and survive.
Saw him in a good spot. Joe hoping for a little luck on this board.
The flop is Jack 10-7, 2 clubs. A little bit of hope for Joe now. Another Jack or an ace is going to pull him into the lead.
The turn is the 10 of diamonds, so now Joe only hoping for another Jack or an ace, or he will be eliminated.
Rivers, the 9 of diamonds, is not going to do it for Joe Fraley. He's put up a really great effort here, and he's going to go home with $12,656.
He gives everybody a wave goodbye, wishes them luck as Sam stacks the remaining of his chips. So just like that, my friend, 9 to 7-handed. Moving on now, still at 15 and 30 with a 4K. Keith first to act. Boy, Keith cannot catch a hand at this final table. Poor guy has been card dead.
Under the gun's way too early to move in with 9-7 suited and 9 big blinds. Dalton, however, has ace-queen. Good enough hand to raise, of course.
That's exactly what he does. He makes it $60,000, a min raise. Over to Psalm. He has pocket deuces.
Sam actually decides to take the aggressive route by re-raising here to 130K with the Ducks.
I like it. Over to Gianni now.
Gianni's tanking like he has a decision. Anytime you're facing a 3-bet, though, you probably have to have a hand in the premium range, unless you're just trying to make a move because you think the players before you are light.
Action now folded around to the original raiser of Dalton Mills.
I'm all in.
And Dalton just decides to move all in. 41 big blinds, ace queen. He says, you know what, Sam? Don't really think you have a hand to call me with, and even if you do, I feel pretty good with mine.
Aggression is the key to winning. More poker from the Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room when we come back. Welcome back to the HPT. We are now short-handed, which, Maria, that means the range is open and the aggression steps up a few notches. Let's get right back to this exciting final table.
Dalton Mills is our chip leader with over 2.4 million. Right behind him is Wes Holland with 1.1 million. Sam Sharifi has 865,000 in chips, and our short stack is Chris Lind with 341,000.
Keith has been card dead most of this final table and kind of caught in between an aggression sandwich with Wes and Dalton. Blinds are moving up now. They are 20 and 40,000 with a 5,000 chip ante. Sam Sharifi under the gun. He's going to fold tray 9. Gianni also going to lay it down.
Chris Lind with 9 big blinds decides to move it all in here with 3s.
And that's going to get rid of Wes. Let's see if Keith picks up a hand. He does. Wired 6s.
And Keith only has 11 big blinds here, so obviously he would be crippled if he doesn't win this pot. This is kind of the spot that you got to just hope you have the best hand, go with it, and actually try to get to a stack where you're dangerous.
I call.
Keith is just going to flat call here. No isolation bet.
Go ahead and start with Chris.
And Keith has Chris dominated here. Chris is looking for a 3.
My favorite pair.
Yeah, Keith going to the flop, a 4-1 favorite.
Get one time.
And boy, if this hand can hold, Keith Romanovich will be dangerous. And just like that, he flops the set on an 8 ace 6 board.
Chris looking for runner outs though for the diamonds or running quads. Ooh, King of Diamonds brings one of those running outs here. Chris looking for any diamond on the river. He looked like he was going to get up, and now he looks like he wants to sit back down.
We got a sweat going in the river here. A diamond and only a diamond. Keith hoping to see a black card.
And it's not a black card, but it does pair the board, giving Keith a boat. I think Chris thinks he won for a quick second, and then he realizes that he is eliminated.
Oh, no. You see a diamond, you think you're good, and then you review the board, and you see, uh-oh, he has a boat. Look at Keith Romanovich, 742,000 going his way. One of the more colorful characters at this final table, and a really, really nice guy. Keith Romanovich going from the cellar and moving up the chip ladder. This hand will start with Dalton. He's going to lay it down. We now move over to Sam. Blinds are 20 and 40,000 with a 5K ante as Sam looks down at Big Slick. Best drawing hand in the game. Sam deliberates his raise sizing. Looks like he's going to make it 120,000 to go.
Gianni folds.
Wes peels back a pretty decent hand. Ace-10 offsuit.
Now that we're 5-handed, I think Wes probably likes this ace-10 more than he normally would, but still lets it go.
Smart fold by the 8 seat. Over to Keith Romanovich now. Keith has recently caught fire, and look at that. The fire continues. Pocket 6's last hand. Now he wakes up with pocket 9s. Play the rush, man. Push him in.
You know what? He just might. I think sometimes players do feel like they're going through a lucky streak of hands, and they definitely want to push the action in that situation. I probably would call if I were Keith, but if he really does feel this rush, he might just try to get a little more aggressive than he normally would.
All in.
Keith goes all in, and that is max aggression right there. Sam is going to have to call, and he knows it. There's no laying down ace-king here.
I love it. Great play by Keith in my book. And Psalm, you just got to call it, man. Ace King.
But, I think Psalm probably likes to give Keith a little bit of credit. But even so, I think for the amount of big blinds that he has, you definitely just got to go with it and pray.
Little over $1 million in the pot. If Psalm makes the call, it'll inflate to just over $1.7 million. And honestly, I'm surprised he hasn't called it yet. There he goes. Trigger has been pulled. We've got a race on our hands, a pocket pair going against two overcards.
And if Keith's rush will hold up here, Psalm will be all but crippled.
Down to 5 right now. Ace King behind to the 9s, but we all know the statistics on this hand is very close. It's a coin.
Here comes the flop. It is 4, 7, 8, a couple of spades, so no love for Psalm yet.
Psalm doesn't want to see little cards right now. He's shaking his head. He needs an ace or a king. The turn pairs the 8. He's still ahead with his 9s.
The river is the 4 of diamonds. I was worried for Keith, I'm not going to lie, because it always happens on the river. But it's a safe card, and Keith is going to double up again.
Keith has been standing up and sitting back down a lot of times in these last few hands.
It was just a few moments ago. The man only had 9 big blinds. Now he is stacking over $1.7 million in chips from that hand.
And like I said, Psalm isn't down to very many chips now. He's our short stack. Let's take a break from the action now and talk to our player in the field. This time it's Nick Schwarman. He's our 3-time HPT final tableist and the 2011 winner at Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room.
I'm now joined with Nick Schwarman. He's got 3 HPT final tables. He won this thing in 2011. And Nick, it's always nice for you when the HPT comes to town because you get to play in your own backyard.
Exactly, yeah. It's I actually live about 2 minutes down the street from this place, so it's kind of wake up, come right down here, play a tournament or two, and have some fun with the HPT guys. So it's a good time.
What was it like for you in 2011 to win one of these things?
It's definitely a really good feeling. I had all my friends here. Being local, it was great. My friends, my family, everybody's right here, and winning that kind of money is it can be life changing, and it lets you do quite a bit of things. So I was pretty excited about it. All my friends had a good time. We went out and celebrated. So it was pretty nice to win.
And speaking of money, you had a pretty good year last year in the World Series of Poker. Talk about that.
Yeah, I did indeed. I had a final table there. I took second in the 2,500 4-max. That was unfortunate. I had like an 8-1 chip lead that I actually blew, so that wasn't too good. I also had a deep run in the main event. I think I busted like 74th or so. So, not quite exactly what I wanted, of course, but it's hard to complain when you make that kind of money. So it's pretty good summer for me.
All right, Nick, last question. What's the strategy to get back to this HPT final table?
The strategy is go in there, stick to my usual aggression. Definitely going to fire some bullets at it. Hopefully accumulate a bunch of chips early. If not, I'll go bust early and rebuy, and hopefully get to another final table, see if we can make something happen.
So good luck to Nick Schwarman as he plays another event right here in his backyard in Daytona Beach, Florida at the Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room. When we come back, 5 remaining players, and we're going to find out who our new HPT champion is going to be. Don't go too far. You're watching the HPT.
Welcome back to the HPT. These 5 remaining players feel like they're getting that much closer to taking down this HPT title, but there's probably a lot of bloodshed along that path.
Keith Romanovitz has made an amazing turnaround. He's now only second to Dalton Mills on the chip leaderboard. Dalton still has a chip lead with 2.5 million. Keith has 1.6 million. And Sam Sharifi has lost a lot of his chips, and he's our short stack.
Blinds are 20 and 40 with a 5,000 chip ante. Looks like Psalm is going to be under the gun here. 8-5, probably not what he was hoping for. He's going to fold over to Gianni.
Gianni has 33 big blinds here. He's only really gotten involved when he's had pretty good hands. Let's see what he looks like he's going to raise it with.
Gianni is stacking raising chips, and there they go. 130,000 with ace king of spades.
Wes is going to probably fold 9-3 unless he wants to surprise us all.
Well, Keith Romanovitz now, he is white hot.
And it seems like lately Keith always has a decision of sorts, but 4-3 off, going in the muck. Now back to Dalton Mills.
Dalton with 9-10 a clover. Suit of connector cards, very tempting at a TV final table.
Especially when you're getting a little bit of a discount, he's going to call $90K more.
Call has been made. Call has been made.
So Gianni is getting a little action with his big slick. Onto the flop we go.
The flop is king, queen, six, couple of clubs there. So that means Dalton has a flush draw, but Gianni has top pair with the ace kicker.
Yeah, this could be the hand Gianni just goes all in with eventually.
And Dalton's hand may look a little bit bigger to him than it is. He also has a gut shot straight draw to go with the flush draw.
The continuation bet has been made. It's $162,000 from Gianni. And Dalton with a flush draw and a gut shot straight draw. I expect to see a call, maybe a raise.
All in.
Dalton decides that that's what he's going to do, raise all in, putting Gianni to the test. Gianni doesn't have a hand he could fold, though, so we're going to go to the turn and the river this hand.
Gianni does make the call, and they're going to table the hands. Gianni's going to see he is looking pretty good with top, but Dalton has a club or a jack to suck out.
Turn is the jack of hearts, and wow, Dalton does hit his gut shot. Gianni does have a 10 as an out now, though. He could make a higher straight.
Gianni has just taken a bad beat, but it's not over yet. Let's see if he can give one right back to Dalton.
And no, the three of clubs only improves Dalton to a flush, and poor Gianni here, he is going to be eliminated.
Not the way you want to leave a final table when you get it in with the best, only to be second best after the river falls. Gianni will be going to the bank with just over $18,000 in cash. Well, my friend, what started as 9 is now 4 players remaining, all vying for that HPT championship. Maria, we've had a lot of short stacks, double up. We've had the best hand not hold up. What is your thought on the play today so far?
Well, you know, for a while there, it looked like it was just going to keep going on forever. But sometimes that's just how poker goes. You think you have a hand locked up, you go in with the best hand, and it doesn't come out that way. But I really like how composed a lot of these players have been handling themselves, and I think we'll see a lot of great poker coming up.
I don't question that at all. Next time, we'll crown a new champion here from the Daytona Beach Kennel Club and Poker Room here in Daytona Beach, Florida, one of our favorite stops on the tour. Now, do you think you have what it takes to sit under the bright lights and TV cameras of the HPT? Well, then log on to hptpoker.com and find an event near you. For the lovely Maria Ho and James Larson, I'm Fred Bevel. We'll see you next time right here on the HPT.
Trash all you want, to me it's all the same. You won't leave with much when you come in second place. Oh, I can wait you out, but I'll take you down. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gonna cry to your mama, cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.